Blank, because that's exactly how I felt. My name is Greta Gross, and at 12, I moved from England to Hungary, a new country, a new language, and no friends. So I did what any teenager would do. I picked up my phone and I started scrolling. Eventually, I called my friends back home. They hadn't moved anywhere. They went to the same schools and had the same friends, but still they did the same as me, scrolling. And that's when I realized this wasn't just my problem, this was every single teenager's problem. Studies show teenagers now spend 4.8 hours every day on social media on average, most of it consuming short form content. To understand this better, I ran a survey of over 100 students across 5 countries and 20 different schools, and 87% said that they spend at least 3 hours per day scrolling. That's over 1,000 hours every single year spent passively consuming content and retaining nothing. But the real problem isn't just time, it's what that time does to our brains. There's a well-documented phenomenon in neuroscience called the generational effect. Studies show that people remember and understand information 20 to 40% better when they actively recreate something versus passively watching it. And the reason is simple. When you build something, 3 regions of your brain activate that scrolling never reaches. The prefrontal cortex, which handles planning and problem solving, the hippocampus, which forms lasting memories, and the motor cortex, which builds real skills. Scrolling only uses your visual cortex. Building activates your whole brain. But today's platforms are designed almost entirely around passive consumption. So instead of asking teenagers to stop scrolling, I asked a different question. What if scrolling was the starting point for building something instead? That's what Blank does. When you open Blank, you might feed of videos. Each video introduces a new concept or a niche. When something interests you, you just tap the video. Blank then shows you real projects or hobbies connected to what you just watched. For example, a video about ancient Rome might lead to projects like making a mosaic, cooking a Roman recipe, or making a wax tablet. You choose a project and Blank provides the resources you need to start. For example, instructions or sources. Once you begin, the project appears in your profile as pending. To complete it, you must upload proof. This creates accountability among the users. Once finished, the project becomes part of your gallery. 84% of people who took my survey said they would use Blank, and when I opened a waitlist, over 70 people signed up. Most solutions to screen addiction try to fight the brain. For example, screen time limits, digital detox apps, and educational platforms. But the brain always takes the path of least resistance. That's why short form content won. So instead of fighting that behavior, Blank uses it. We keep the engagement of scrolling but redirect it towards curiosity and creation. The platform begins with AI-generated educational videos, ensuring high quality and structured content from day one. As the platform grows, creators can join, but with one rule: pick a niche and stick to it. No lifestyle content, no fluff, just people who know things and are teaching them. I'm 16 years old and I'm not trying to guess at this problem, I live it every day. There are 1.3 billion teenagers worldwide, and most of them already spend hours per day on their phones. We're not trying to eliminate that behavior, we're trying to redirect it. The impact isn't a small fraction, it's every teenager who picks up their phone today and finds something worth building instead. More curiosity, more creativity, and more builders. Because the next generation of inventors, entrepreneurs, and competition winners won't come from endless scrolling, they'll come from people who build. Blank is free for the user. On the revenue side, I'm aiming towards 3 different streams: selling anonymized engagement data and insights to schools and educators who want to understand what their students are actually curious about, charging creators to feature their content in the discovery feed once the platform has an audience worth reaching, and partnering with educational brands whose products generally fit what our users are building. So here would be my ask from the judges. Nada, since MIRS works at the intersection of innovation, I'd love to hear your guidance on how to structure Blank for scale. Laurie, since TreeFrog supports early stage founders and helps them build something real from the idea, that's exactly where I am, and I'd love to know whether Blank could be the fit for your accelerator, and what you would want to see from me to get there. Megan, since Replit is where people learn by building, your community is exactly the kind of people who would create on Blank. I'd love to hear your perspective on how you would approach building the first version of this product.